The story begins in a rather depressing way, because in a world where everything seems normal, we see a young woman named Sloane on the verge of making an irreversible decision. Soaking in the bathtub at home, she reviews the suicide note she just finished writing one last time. However, at that exact moment, she hears her father arrive, forcing her to leave everything behind and head downstairs to have breakfast with him. During the meal, the tension is thick and undeniable. As Sloane spreads butter on her bread, she complains incessantly, comparing every little thing to the specific way her sister, Lily, used to do them. Her father, clearly fed up with her attitude, firmly demands that she move on with her life. Since her sister abandoned them, he tells his daughter that there was nothing he could do and that he had no intention of tying her down. To this, she snaps back that such a move would probably have been his very next step. Because of that remark, the father becomes deeply upset and even goes as far as grabbing her face to check if she is actually sick, ultimately concluding that she is not. Even though Sloane insists she isn't hungry, he forces her to eat, stating that in his house, food is never allowed to go to waste. Suddenly, a loud bang on the door shatters the uneasy calm, accompanied by desperate cries for help. While her father goes to investigate, Sloane begins to hear total chaos erupting outside. Sirens wailing, cars crashing, and constant screaming. Something is clearly wrong with the world. When her father returns, he is covered in blood and says only one thing: they have to leave right now. As they step outside, Sloane witnesses the absolute horror. The entire town has fallen into utter madness. People are running for their lives, chased by others who are clearly no longer human. They appear to be a type of zombie with incredible agility, capable of sprinting at full speed. Sloane stands paralyzed, taking in the nightmare unfolding around her. At that exact moment, an infected woman lunges at her, but her father manages to pull her back inside just in time. However, the zombie smashes through a window, leading to a brutal struggle. Sloane's father tries to hold the creature back, but during the fight, he is bitten hard on the arm. Desperate, he grabs a shard of broken glass and attacks the zombie, eventually managing to drive it through the eye and into the brain. The silence that follows is devastating. Completely in shock, Sloane flees her home as the infected begin to chase her through the streets. A day later, Sloane takes refuge in a high school along with several other teenagers. They discover there is only one car left in the parking lot, so they head into the principal's office to search for the keys, but they quickly realize they aren't alone. Amidst the shadows and low growls, they find the principal turned into a zombie. One of the boys kills him brutally by repeatedly smashing a telephone against his head. With the keys finally in their possession, they decide to barricade themselves inside. While everyone else works together, Sloane remains deeply traumatized and isolates herself in a corner to try and call her sister, Lily, but she gets no answer. Riz approaches her and asks the most critical question: has she been bitten? Sloane is in total shock and covered in blood, so she honestly doesn't know. Riz warns her to be extremely careful, explaining that a single bite is all it takes to turn into one of them. Later, the group gathers in the gym, trying to pick up information on the radio, but they only hear a looped message. It instructs them to stay put and lock all doors and windows, because help is on the way. Although Riz tries to comfort her, Sloane can't stop thinking about everything she lost just the day before. Right at that moment, the story shifts to tell us what happened exactly one day earlier. While Sloane was desperately fleeing from the zombies, she had to dodge moving cars crashing all around her, adding to the growing chaos. She tries to take refuge in a house, but it's locked, leaving her no choice but to hop a fence just in time to escape an infected person who almost grabs her. Winded, she keeps running until she hides behind a bush after spotting someone approaching. But to her relief, it's just Riz and Carrie. Together, they head back to the main street, where they find Trace's mother, Karen, climbing out of a wrecked car. Trace immediately runs to help her, while the others realize his twin sister Grace is also with them. Karen is injured, but she still insists that they don't stop and keep moving forward. Shortly after, the group reaches a recreational center, where a desperate crowd is trying to force their way inside. From a balcony, a soldier screams for everyone to stay back, announcing there is only room for one more person. Trace tries to protect his mother, but the crowd shoves them aside without mercy. Suddenly, someone starts shooting, and faced with the immediate danger, the group decides to get the hell out of there. As night falls, They take shelter in a random house. Karen tries to turn on the lights, but Carrie kills them immediately, snapping at her for drawing unwanted attention to their location. The tension in the room spikes instantly. Carrie questions whether they should have just left her behind, and Karen fires back that she was only trying to see if the power was still on. Furthermore, she brings up a chilling theory. She believes the zombies are attracted to sound. She even threatens Carrie, telling him never to speak to her like that again. While inspecting the house, they find bloodstains next to an overturned table and a baseball bat that Carrie decides to take as a weapon. Trace announces that the second floor is clear, so everyone heads up, even though Carrie would rather stay downstairs. Karen insists that staying upstairs is safer, which triggers a heated argument over who should be leading the group. In the middle of the clash, Karen reveals that they managed to escape their own home by climbing through a window onto the roof. At the same time, she thanks him for helping them out, but she makes it crystal clear that his help doesn't put him in charge. She firmly reminds him that he shouldn't be questioning the decisions she makes to look after her kids. Later, while Karen tends to her wound, the others try to get some much-needed rest. For her part, Sloane is utterly exhausted and eventually drifts off, but her mind immediately drifts back to the past. In her dreams, she relives moments with her sister, Lily. It's morning, and Lily is waking her up for school. After swiping some cash from their father's wallet while he's still asleep, Lily helps Sloane get ready. Sloane is worried about being late, but her sister suggests taking their father's car, promising that he won't even notice it's gone. However, the mood shifts when Sloane admits she knows Lily is planning to leave home for good. She doesn't blame her, but she's terrified of being left alone with their father, especially since their mother is no longer in the picture. Lily tries to soothe her by reminding her of their motto, one day at a time, and promises that she won't let their father hurt them ever again. Afterward, they drive to school. Before they part ways, Lily hands her a birthday card, mentioning she made sure their father would do something special for her that night. She just wants to cheer her up and promises they're going to have a great time. Sloane thanks her, but leaves the card in the car, promising to open it later. Yet, as she steps out of the vehicle, she notices her sister watching her with a heartbreakingly sad look, as if she already knew that nothing would ever be the same again. Back in the present, everyone jolts awake at the sound of a strange noise echoing through the house. Once again, danger feels like it's closing in on them. Karen immediately suggests escaping through the window before the situation gets any worse. However, Carrie isn't on board. He suggests heading downstairs to see what's actually going on, arguing that the sound doesn't quite take him as a zombie. He thinks it might just be an animal or something else entirely. Plus, he believes they should try to stay put to use the house as a shelter, since it's much safer than being out in the open. Then, hearing another strange noise, the group rushes downstairs, only to find a shattered window. At that exact moment, a zombie lunges at Carrie, but he reacts in time, dodges the attack, and brutally beats it down with his bat until it's finished. However, Karen notices that more infected are closing in on the house. To avoid getting trapped, they are forced to run once again. They sprint through the town for a long time, chased by pure chaos, until Carrie spots the school in the distance. With no other real options, they decide it's the best place to take cover since the windows are reinforced. But as Karen moves ahead to make sure the coast is clear, the zombies spot her immediately. Grasping the gravity of the situation, Karen makes a heartbreaking decision and screams at the kids to run toward the school while she stays behind as bait. Within seconds, the infected swarm her and tear her apart right in front of her children. The devastated group keeps running for their lives. During the escape, a zombie tackles Sloane, slamming her to the ground. Carrie tries to help her, but he's attacked as well and loses his grip on the baseball bat. Riz moves fast, grabbing the weapon and taking out the zombie that was inches away from killing Sloane, leaving her completely covered in blood. They finally manage to escape, scaling a fence and making it inside the school. Once inside, they block every entrance and head to the gym to get some rest. Later, Sloane wakes up from a nightmare and, checking her pocket, finds the suicide note she wrote before everything went to hell. After skimming it, she heads to the bathroom where she throws up and washes off the blood, trying to scrub away the nightmare she's been living through. Right then, another memory floods her mind. She sees her sister Lily, bruised and battered, confessing that she's about to run away. Sloane begs to go with her, but Lily explains that since she's a minor, the cops would be looking for them everywhere. In that moment, her father storms into the room, hurling insults at Sloane about her poor grades and calling her a total disappointment. When Lily tries to stand up for her, he hits her without hesitation. Lily, fueled by rage, screams at him that he's an idiot and that his behavior is exactly why their mother walked out on them. This causes her father to strike her again, throwing her down the stairs. Without saying another word, Lily gets up, furious, and announces she's leaving for good. Then, she follows through on her word. Even though Sloane begs her not to leave her alone with their father, Lily ignores her and walks away. Back in the present, Sloane reunites with the siblings, and they ask where she's been. She coolly responds that she was nowhere special, just in the bathroom trying to wash her face while there was still some water left in the pipes. Just then, the boys manage to scavenge some food from the school's supplies. Carrie tries to get the group organized, but Trace, consumed by raw anger and grief, blames him directly for their mother's death. Trace claims it was all Carrie's fault for saying the coast was clear, even suggesting he did it on purpose so she would die and he could take charge of the group. Carrie insists that he didn't lie, arguing that the zombies simply moved too fast, but that does nothing to quiet Trace down. Trace ends up swinging at him, sparking a fight that the others barely manage to break up. The tension in the air is getting unbearable. Sloane, feeling awkward and totally overwhelmed by the drama, decides to walk away from the group. A little later, Grace tracks her down and offers her some clean clothes she scavenged from the school's drama department. The two of them head to the bathroom to wash up. When Sloane strips down, the bruises covering her body are revealed, clear evidence of her father's ongoing abuse. Fortunately, there are no signs of any bites. Taking advantage of the moment, Grace asks her what she really saw out there on the streets. But Sloane, avoiding any deep conversation about the trauma, just gives a vague answer, saying she saw the same thing everyone else did. Grace then asks for a minute of privacy, so Sloane heads out. Afterward, Sloane and Rhys wander through the school hallways together. At one point, Sloane stops to look into one of the classrooms, remembering back when things were normal and they all sat through class together in that very room. When they step inside, they notice it's dead quiet, but they don't find anything out of the ordinary. Meanwhile, the guys gather back in the gym, wondering how this whole nightmare even started in the first place. They also wonder if the government might be involved in what's happening, or if it's just something local. Carrie doesn't buy that theory, arguing that if the government were behind it, they would have probably nuked the place by now to contain it. Trace chimes in, saying that if this thing is global, he highly doubts anyone is actually coming to save them. Carrie still holds out some hope, mentioning that since the town is so small, it's probably just taking the authorities a lot longer to get to them. Rhys suggests it could be a disease, noting there was a weird flu going around recently, but Carrie doesn't think that's it. Sloane remarks that the whole situation is pure insanity, saying she feels like she's trapped inside some kind of coffin. Moments later, Sloane sprints desperately through the school hallways until she collapses in front of the main entrance, only to realize the zombies are relentlessly pounding on the door, trying to get in. Panicked, she rushes back to the gym, where the others explain that the infected are already surrounding every exit. They have no choice. They must reinforce the barricades if they want to survive. After securing the doors, the group heads to the library and discovers there are no zombies at that particular exit. They quickly realize why. A high fence separates the field from the street, blocking any access. Carrie points out that this spot will have to be their only escape route if everything goes south. Later on, Sloane cannot stand staying in the gym anymore, listening to the relentless pounding of the infected outside, so she decides to go find some rest in a more secluded corner. Rhys goes to check on her to make sure she's doing okay. He mentions that she seems really withdrawn and admits he always got the vibe that she had something on her mind. However, Sloane snaps back that there really isn't much to talk about. Together, they discuss the situation, wondering if their families are even still alive. Since her only real concern is her sister, she doesn't seem to care much about anyone else, simply remarking that everything happening is pure madness. Rhys agrees, but takes the opportunity to flirt with her, mentioning that the whole nightmare is better just because he's by her side. Sloane, however, doesn't take the bait at all. She bluntly tells him that they don't actually know each other. Rhys insists that he does know her, pointing out that his locker was right next to hers and that he always saw her hanging out with her sister, Lily. They were inseparable. He even mentions the time she dyed her hair blonde. But right at that second, a massive explosion rocks the entire building, cutting the conversation dead. The kids sprint toward the main entrance as the entire building trembles beneath them. Trace and Carrie start arguing about whether or not to open the door, but Sloane doesn't wait for them. She pulls back a poster to peek outside, and what she sees leaves her in total shock. The zombies are actually moving away. In the distance, massive flames and thick smoke are billowing from a gas station that apparently blew up. Later on, after grabbing a bite to eat, Trace asks for the car keys. He wants to head out and scout the area. Riz and Sloane decide to tag along, just to be safe. In the teacher's lounge, they find a bottle of booze and head back to the gym, where they start playing a game to take their minds off things. At first, they're all sharing funny stories and laughing, but the mood gets awkward fast when they realize something pretty depressing. None of them has ever actually been in love. The laughter dies out, replaced by a heavy silence that reflects the grim reality they're living in. That night, while Sloane is asleep, she feels a hand brushing against her face. She slowly wakes up and senses someone standing right behind her. When she turns around, she sees her father, horrified to find him vomiting blood. He starts screaming at her, but right at that second, Sloane jolts awake. It was a nightmare, or so it seems. Still shaken, she heads out into the hallway to get some water, but she hears something moving behind her. When she spins around, there's nothing there. Pure terror washes over her, so she goes to wake the others, insisting that someone has broken into the school. The group heads straight to the library after hearing suspicious noises coming from inside a closet. When they pull it open, they find something completely unexpected. Their teacher, Mr. Baxter, is asleep in there with a gun in his hand. Sloane moves fast, snatching the pistol before he even wakes up. When Baxter finally opens his eyes, he panics the second he notices his weapon is gone. The kids bring him back to the gym and give him some food while trying to figure out how he ended up there. Baxter actually commends the group for the barricades they built, but when they ask him how he got into the school, he claims he has no memory of it. Nobody believes him. Their distrust grows even more when he insists that the situation in town is much worse than they imagine. Supposedly, the zombies have slowed down, but he warns them that doesn't mean it's safe out there. Carrie sarcastically points out how weird it is that he can remember everything he saw outside, but can't recall how he got into the building. The teacher shoots back that he has no reason to lie and tells the kids he wants to take a shower, though Carrie tells him to finish his meal first. Afterward, a restless Sloane asks him why he was watching her in the hallway, but he flat out denies it, claiming he was just investigating some strange noises. Afterward, Baxter heads off to shower while the group stays behind, debating what to do with the gun. They eventually decide to lock it away and only use it if it's absolutely necessary for their survival. Sloane openly admits that she doesn't trust Baxter, and she's definitely not the only one feeling that way. Meanwhile, Carrie leads him to the showers, but the second Baxter takes off his clothes, Carrie spots something disturbing. Without wasting a moment, he runs back to the gym and tells the group that Baxter is infected. Carrie grabs the gun, intent on taking him out, but Riz steps in, arguing that a simple scar isn't enough proof to execute him. A heated argument breaks out until Baxter shows up, desperately claiming he's not infected. Carrie levels the gun at him and demands to see the wound, but instead of complying, Baxter takes off running. The group chases him down and manages to tackle him, though the gun hits the floor during the struggle. When they check his arm, there's no room for doubt. He has a clear, unmistakable bite mark. Sloane scoops up the pistol. Trace and Carrie are screaming at her to pull the trigger, but Riz begs her to wait. The tension explodes into a chaotic shouting match until Baxter, in a state of total despair, says he'll just leave on his own if it'll put an end to the fighting. Before they kick him out for good, Sloane decides to hear him out. Baxter tells his story. He was fleeing through the city when he ran into another survivor. Together, they made it to the school, but every entrance was barricaded except for one window. They broke it, and Baxter climbed in first, but he couldn't help his partner in time. The zombies swarmed the man and started tearing him apart. In a desperate attempt to save him, Baxter tried to pull him in, but the man, already losing control, bit him on the arm. Once inside, Baxter saw his companion was a goner, so he killed him before he could fully turn. When the kids ask which window he used, he mentions the boiler room, but that only makes them more suspicious. To them, it's proof he's lying. The decision is quick and cold. Baxter has to go. But just as Carrie is about to open the door to toss him out, Baxter lunges and bites him hard on the arm. Even then, he keeps insisting he isn't infected as the group finally shoves him outside, leaving him to his fate. Now they have a different problem on their hands. Trace proposes that Carrie should be kicked out too, but the rest of the group refuses. Instead, Grace takes him to the nurse's office to clean and bandage the wound. They decide to isolate him for a few hours until they know for sure whether he's infected or not. Before leaving the room, Grace locks the door to keep the rest of the group safe. Rhys tries to calm Sloane down, assuring her that he genuinely believes Carrie is clean. Then, he hands her something he found back in the library, her suicide note. Sloane falls into a dead silence. Rhys has realized that she tried to take her own life before all this started, and he asks her point blank why she's fighting so hard to survive now. She dodges the question and quickly changes the subject, asking him how he can be so certain about who's infected. Rhys explains that infected people start to turn cold, a detail he learned the hard way by watching his own father transform right in front of him. Afterward, his father attacked his mother, and she was bitten too. The weight of their shared trauma brings them together, but it also breaks them down. Later on, Sloane goes out looking for some food, only to stumble upon something totally unexpected. Grace and Carrie sharing an intimate moment together. Sloane bolts before they can spot her and finds Rhys. In the middle of the chaos, the two of them hide in a dark corner and kiss, as if they wanted to forget about the end of the world for just a second. However, the moment is shattered when they hear a strange voice. At the same time, Grace and Carrie decide to go check out the boiler room. There, they discover a broken window and a corpse, a scene that confirms Baxter was actually telling the truth about how he got inside. They rush back to the gym to tell the group, but there's something even more pressing. The voice Sloane heard wasn't in her head. It's coming from the radio. A broadcast is now announcing a survivor shelter located in Rafford. This news immediately splits the group. Trace wants to stay put, convinced that the school is safe and they still have supplies, but Carrie points out the reality of their situation. The food is running out. The argument flares up again, and Sloane, totally drained, decides to walk away. While walking down a hallway, she finds a body on the floor. It's Baxter, badly injured, but still breathing. Sloane calls out to the others, and Grace rushes over to help him. However, Rhys notices that Baxter has a fresh bite mark, and his body is ice cold to the touch. He tries to warn Grace, but it's already too late. Baxter turns right then and there. In a matter of seconds, he lunges at Grace and pins her down, trying to bite her. Sloane reacts, grabbing him from behind to hold him back, while the shaking Trace fires the gun. The shot misses its mark, but manages to separate them. Carrie then grabs the pistol and shoots him straight in the head, putting an end to Baxter once and for all. As Grace tries to get up, everyone realizes with horror that the bullet has pierced her abdomen. Trace rushes over to her in a panic, and they both collapse onto the floor. Minutes later, Grace dies in her brother's arms while he clings to her body, completely unable to accept the reality of it. Later, back in the gym, the atmosphere is utterly devastating. Sloane tries to comfort Carrie, but he is broken, bitterly claiming they were idiots for ever having any hope. In that moment, Trace storms in and, without warning, launches a brutal attack on Sloane, blaming her for ruining his shot by getting in the way during the struggle. Rhys and Carrie manage to pull him off her. Sloane walks away, emotionally shattered, and lets out her frustration in the hallway by hurling a chair against the wall. That's when she spots it, her phone lying on the floor. Checking it, she finds a message from her sister, Lily, that reads, "Come home, it's safe." Sloane freezes as she shows the text to Rhys and Carrie. They immediately point out that the message is old. There is no way of knowing if it's even true anymore. But Sloane isn't listening to reason. She is dead set on leaving, and this time she won't be going alone. The following morning, they pack everything they can carry. Before heading out, Sloane looks for Trace and finds him sitting by Grace's body. Completely broken, he sincerely apologizes for attacking her. Sloane, fully understanding his grief, tells him truthfully that she would have done the exact same thing for her sister and forgives him. Trace thanks her, but in a final act of absolute despair, he takes the gun and decides to end his own life right then and there. After recovering the weapon, Sloane, Rhys, and Carrie finally leave the school behind. The streets are littered with corpses, but the danger is still very much alive. As they walk past, several zombies begin to stir and wake up. Rhys moves fast, taking one out with his bat, while Sloane tries to fire the gun, only to find out she's out of ammo. With no other choice, the three of them sprint desperately until they find an abandoned car. In a smart move, they set off the car alarm to lure the zombies toward the vehicle, allowing them to make their escape. Further down the road, they come across a house that looks safe, even though it's surrounded by bodies. They creep through the backyard, trying not to make a sound. Finding the door locked, Carrie pries it open with a crowbar, which immediately trips a loud alarm. Without wasting a second, they burst inside and smash the system before the noise attracts too much attention. Once inside, they barricade the front door. While scouting the place, Sloane finds the owner of the house, who took his own life with a knife, but there's no time to process the horror. The zombies are already swarming toward them. Then, Carrie offers himself up as a distraction. Without waiting for an answer, he bolts out of the house, drawing the horde of infected after him and giving Sloane and Riss the opening they need to escape. Minutes later, Sloane and Riss reach her old house, but several zombies are prowling around the front entrance. They hide under the crawl space of a nearby home and wait in absolute silence for them to move on. One of the infected passes dangerously close, and they both hold their breath until the danger finally fades away. Hours later, once the street is clear, they run toward the house. The front door is locked, so they circle around to the backyard. Sloane climbs the wall with some struggle, and after a tense moment where she almost loses her footing, she manages to scramble through her bedroom window. Riz follows right behind her. They start clearing the house room by room. Sloane steps into the living room and freezes. Lily is right there, sitting on the sofa. For a split second, everything feels normal again, until Lily turns around and reveals the grim truth: she's infected. She lunges at Sloane, and they both hit the floor in a desperate struggle. Sloane screams her name, and for a heartbeat, Lily pauses, but it's just a ghost of who she used to be. Seconds later, she attacks again with full force. With no other choice and a shattered soul, Sloane grabs the crowbar and puts an end to her own sister's life to save her own. The emotional pain is unbearable. Riss pulls her into a tight embrace as she completely breaks down on the floor. Nearby, they also find their father's lifeless body, confirming once and for all that nothing is left of her old life. Later, in the garage, Sloane finally opens the birthday card Lily had given her before everything went to hell. It's filled with words of love, support, and unwavering hope. With tears streaming down her face, Sloane makes a final choice. She leaves her suicide note behind and keeps her sister's letter instead, because despite all the horror, she has chosen to live. Finally, Sloane and Riss get into her father's car and drive out of the city, heading toward the horizon with the hope of finding the shelter they heard about on the radio. And so, in the middle of the apocalypse, a new reason to keep going is born. That is how this story ends.